Harrison Price for Wednesday, July 15th, 2026, presentation of Bet365. At Bet365, boring games, thing of the past. Now, there's always reason to tune in, even if the score isn't one of them. Download the app today. Must be 19 plus. Please play responsibly. Matt Sekeres with Blake Price. Mike Rogerson hitting switches and conducting things. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to our podcast, whatever platform you may use there, and leave a like while you're there. Hello and good morning. A little early today in the AM hours. We wanted to get this, well, not the whole show, but at least this first block out of the way before. Well, there's a big soccer match at noon, Blake. You may have heard.
There was, by world ranking, it was a bigger soccer match yesterday. But we know that there's probably a little bit more interest in England A, in Leo Messi B, and ultimately that match wasn't much yesterday. So hopefully we picked the right one to sidestep for.
I was at a service station this morning, one I usually stop at on my way to work, and the proprietor there and the teller were, "Oh, you watching the match?" "You're damn right I'm watching the match. Go England." And I hear this voice from the coffee machine going, no, go Argentina, in an Irish accent. And so I turned and I looked and I said, look, when Ireland starts qualifying for World Cups, its opinion will be noted. But until then, we're in British Columbia.
I think a lot of fans have probably folded up the Maple Leaf kits.
Of course.
And are donning 3 Lions. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, the younger generation, of course, much of them grew up in the Leo Messi era, and I think there's a lot of those fans, too.
I have an English friend. He works downtown. I said, were you watching the match? He said, honestly, I cannot be around all the plastic Argentine fans. That was his term.
The plastic?
Well, he said, if they were real Argentinians, I could suffer it. But they're just Messi fans.
Yeah.
And I get it. He's a compelling player.
Yes.
I wish he'd, do an interview or two here in Miami, try to promote the game a little more than what he has. Does everybody know that there are 2 journalists Messi speaks to?
Yeah.
2 friendly Argentine journalists. Those are the only places he does interviews, and only in Spanish. And
even then, not very often.
No. Like, when MLS brought him over, did they understand all of this?
I think they did, yeah, because he's never...
Did they think they could change that? Were they hoping that he would put a better foot forward in terms of actually trying to engage with the American public, or just Spanish South Florida was enough?
He has sold things. So from their perspective, I'm guessing, from what they expected out of Leo Messi, the day-to-day media availability, I think they knew what they were getting there. But they wanted him to sell things and put his face on marketing and all that, and he has done that part.
Yeah. He lays potato chips. I would have thought like a condition of it was, Leo, we need you to do a press conference at the beginning of the year, maybe meet your local media in a less formal setting mid-season, just to get an up, and then at MLS Cup. Like, he won MLS Cup MVP. He didn't show up for the press conference.
And for those that don't know, like in Europe, like media availability for a guy at that level
is almost nil.
It's almost nil. Like, it's pretty much
they
nil.
have a totally different conception of how to sell the game, and let's face it, in most places it works.
And they don't need to sell the game.
Well,
in
that's
most places,
it. That's right. Brings us to our daily poll question: better sing along, "Hey Jude" or "Wonderwall"? Mr. Price.
Hey Jude.
Blake's an Oasis hater. This is long established.
I'm just jabbing you in the ribs. But it's the Beatles versus Oasis.
We were at the mat, and I'm going to have to bite my tongue here because I had said some things years ago on radio about the Beatles, and I still hear about it from Beatles fans.
Yes.
So I'm going to bite my tongue here. I don't deny their genius, the most important transformative musical
Building
act
block
in history.
band.
I will give them that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe outside of the Mozarts and the Beethovens, but of the last couple of centuries. So with all due respect to Sir Paul, which is a fun sing-along. I was with the matinee guys when Jude Bellingham scored Saturday against Norway, said we got to get the Hey Jude thing going, but before we knew, we were in the midst of the Hey Jude thing. I'm going with Wonderwall, in part, Blake, because it's a victory song, right? That's their victory song.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Rogerson is a 4-time Juno Award winner and will break the tie here.
Simple answer. How long does it take to learn the words of the sing-along part of Hey Jude?
I thought you were going another way there. Because let's face it, the only part of Hey Jude that is the sing-along is the na-na-na-na part.
Exactly.
The entire song of Wonderwall is sing-along, Blake.
Once you've learned it.
How difficult is it to learn?
Oh, it's a sad song. It's a sad song. It's not a jubilant song.
Which one?
Wonderwall.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's a sad song.
What?
Yeah.
I like Wonderwall better, but as far as a sing-along goes, I like one where you know it by the second bar. You already know what to do.
And Hey Jude builds to the triumphant na-na-na-nas. Wonderwall's very sad.
Yeah. Wonderwall, since its release all those years ago, I heard Noel Gallagher say once he makes like 3,000 pounds a day just from the royalties of Wonderwall because of how often it is played on a daily basis around the world. He racks in millions a year still, Blake.
Oh, yeah.
Just from the publishing of Wonderwall.
Yeah. Do you know?
I'm going to guess Sir Paul does pretty well on Hey Jude as well.
While we're doing British, do you know what has not left the top 100 or whatever in the last 25 years in Britain? Mr. Brightside.
Really?
Yeah.
To this day.
To this day.
That has become a big sing-along song at American stadiums.
Yeah.
I want to say the University of Michigan began that at their football games a number of years ago, between the third quarter and fourth quarter.
There's some write-in votes here in the
Oh,
chat.
yeah?
Okay. All right. What does the chat say?
Well, the obvious. We are the champions. But that's a special part
Wow,
of it.
that's a coronation song. That's not a victory song.
My overall favorite's still the Blink-182 in San Jose? Who does it?
Colorado. All
Colorado.
the small things.
But it only kind of works at that stadium, but I love it. when
And
they
Bon
do.
Jovi's become a thing, too.
But the thing about Hey Jude, it only
Which
works
one?
at the end. Whoa, Living on a Prayer.
Living on a Prayer, yeah.
Really?
What, people say, yeah.
Oh,
the sing-along, the sports sing-along.
Oh, where? Oh,
Everywhere.
Oh, okay.
At every game of the World Cup, they come back from.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. Which is always funny to see Brits singing Bon Jovi. You don't see that as a crossover event.
Wonderwall is amongst the simplest songs to learn. I will say that. I am an Oasis fan, but I'm not going to sit here and call them great storytellers. Some of the songs are good stories, but a lot of their songs are what just fits here, what rhymes. And Wonderwall is, first of all, what is a Wonderwall?
It's a tribute to George Harrison.
There you go.
But physically, what is a Wonderwall?
Well, back to the soccer crossover though. Minnesota United, they're behind one goal. It's where the supporters stand. It's so steep, they call that the Wonderwall. Mm-hmm. Sing it accordingly.
Do you think? Because I saw Ringo Starr had, I believe, his 86th birthday last week, and of course Sir Paul is up there as well. Do you think Beatles music will endure over the next 30, 40, 50 years?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah, like my kids from 16 to 23 all still have a great appreciation for the classics. And I mean,
Okay.
modern classics, Neil Young, Beatles, like they listen to them all. They can sing along with all of them. Now, it could be the exposure that I've given them, but they will happily listen to that stuff.
Mike, do you think the Beatles music will endure like the rest of our lifetime?
I think so. I do want to throw a qualifier on my answer. It's only if you start the Hey Jude at the na-na-nas. You can't do the full 7.5 minute sing-along.
Right.
It's a little somber at the start, too.
Yeah.
Although I think like Mason and his friends kind of think Pearl Jam and the Beatles are about the same era. So.
Yes, it does start to coagulate. The old songs are just old songs, yes. And Pearl Jam is classic rock to them, so just shoot me now.
Should I tell the Paul McCartney Super Bowl story? Super Bowl 39, Jacksonville, Florida. He's the halftime act. He does a little press event on the Friday before the weekend. A young lady steps to the microphone, introduces herself as an intern at ESPN, and asks Sir Paul, will there be anybody playing with you, or is it just you by yourself? And he went, oh, great question. Yes, of course, joining me will be my band. And she said, your band? And he said, yes, it's a little confusing. The name of the band, the group of musicians that plays with me, is called my band. And she says, looking confused, is that your original band? The room sort of had a moment of, oh, she doesn't know the Beatles.
This is at a press conference. It's not even a story. This is at a press conference. Yeah.
Anyways, vote at the S&P X and YouTube channels, Hey Jude or Wonderwall, and the grandson of a Londoner. So let's hope we're singing Wonderwall a little later. Our top story brought to you by Yellow Dog Brewing, Neighborhood Brewing, Foolish Winery. September starts. How about this, everybody? Your hockey is coming earlier. The NHL schedule drops tomorrow. We're, of course, moving to an 84-game regular season. If you don't remember that little
smaller preseason before you're
smaller
too
preseason.
upset. Yes.
We have preseason dates. Do we have preseason dates? Yeah, we have preseason dates.
We've cobbled it together at least.
Yeah. And so 84 games means starting early, very early. The Vancouver Canucks open the regular season September 29th in Edmonton against the Oilers, and their home opener is a return match October 1st against those same Oilers at Rogers Arena.
Fabulous, and for a Canucks rebuilding team, one way to capture people's attention early is have the best player on the planet facing that team, both home and away.
And before he's in midseason form, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, results be damned. It's just it's a good smelling salt for attention. If they'd open versus Nashville and Columbus, you're less inclined to jump right into the pool. I don't think you'll have that reticence this time.
I have no problem with the openers and the dos-I-dos with the Alberta teams, and we see a lot of that.
Yeah.
Right? Edmonton, Calgary, first in Vancouver, then in one of their cities, or
Often the case.
vice versa. But I see some of the chatter on social. We've talked about how the Canucks-Kraken rivalry really hasn't launched yet. And, of course, part of that is because of Red and Nadia and the story of Nadia, the medical student, seeing a lump or a mole on Red's neck and saying, you really should get that checked out. And turned out it was cancer, and she basically saved him. And it was just an incredible story. We've known Red for a long, long time. So love that story. And, of course, neither team has been all that particularly good. I mean, Seattle's been in the playoffs once, and it did not coincide in a year with when the Canucks were any good. Are you a little surprised, though, that they haven't leaned into the Kraken rivalry more? like that it's still one of the other Alberta teams that is the foil here because they've got each other, right?
Yeah.
Like the whole idea of Seattle was a natural geographic rival for the Vancouver Canucks, a driving distance game.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I mean, I think this would be a great opportunity. You go Edmonton, Calgary for the first 2 games, and you do Seattle, Vancouver for the first 2. I don't think either of the teams would have an issue with it too. Lack of travel early on as you just get your feet underneath you. I think both Seattle and Vancouver would be okay with that. So, yeah, I can hear that.
And I honestly ask more from a Kraken point of view than a Canucks point of view because, Blake, as you know, they hate us down there, particularly big Tyler Myers. They're going to have to hate him in Dallas now.
Well, also.
But they hate us because, we, much like Blue Jays fans, we take over their arena, right? Like it becomes a pseudo Canucks home game at Climate.
Does
Pledge.
it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Curtis at Northlands will tell you, Blake. He's been down there a bunch.
I mean, are there fans, but they're not the majority by any stretch.
Well, there's enough to make it close to a 50-50 crowd.
Oh, I don't know. Certainly for the home
Blake,
opener.
last year, let me tell you, last couple of years, tickets have not been flying off the shelf for the Kraken. Like,
No, and that's why they should want it too.
That's why Canucks fans are going down there, and
But the Canucks aren't great, so this would be, if I'm the Kraken, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's do that. I want to start with a win. Take on the worst team by 20 points in the NHL last season. Yeah, I'll have them first out of the gate.
The other thing that you're very happy about, because you've been calling for this for years, the NHL has traditionally started, not standalone because it's been more than one game on opening night, but typically they try to fashion marquee matchups
2 to 3 games
in a double or triple header.
Yeah.
There's usually like one bone thrown to Canada and Rogers of a Canadian matchup and then an American double header. Although in previous years, this is like they had Chicago playing on open. Oh, Connor Bedard's a Blackhawk. Let's put them on opening night. Not
Terrible
quite a national
team. Yeah.
The Kings, it's a huge market. Let's put them on opening night. Have you seen the way they play? Horrible to watch. This year, they're going both barrels. It is a full slate.
It's a hockey festival.
Yeah.
And let's face it,
Do we have a Viz there? My bad if we don't.
it's a long season. It's 84 games now. Unlike a standalone NFL game, and we've talked about this, like one NFL game is worth 5 NHL games. So almost 6 now, for heaven's sakes. So the gravitas of any one game, A, is a lot bigger. B, of course, just any NFL game is considered marquee based on the way that league works. It's, there's fans of the league as well as fans of the club. That's not the case for the National Hockey League. So you can't create the destination one night only game unless there's a real intriguing backstory from the previous year. A Stanley Cup rematch, maybe you could do that, but I still don't know, Matt. A Stanley Cup final, for the most part, is still a big story locally for those two teams. I don't know if the national audience carries over 3 months later. This is the way to do it. Everybody's eyes are involved here. Everybody's into the pool. Not only is it, whatever it is, 6-7 games on this day, but Matt, they've staggered
5. But
5. No, it's more time.
oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe incomplete.
It's a staggered.
Staggered starts.
So you're constantly
5,
dialing around.
2, 4, 5, 7, 7:30. That's what I have, but I could be incomplete here. Yeah, like John Shannon, former executive producer of Hockey Night in Canada, has been telling us this for years. Like, there really isn't any national viewing in the National Hockey League. That was particularly true of the United States forever. Like, we've talked about it on this show. Buffalo and Western New York seems to be, and in part because their home team has been so shitty, the only U.S. market that will watch out-of-market games. A little bit in Minnesota and Michigan as well. But really, that affliction has hit Canada as well. Like, there's no more Hockey Night in Canada. The National Saturday Night Church Cathedral institution is no more. Because for the most part, British Columbians watch Canucks games. Albertans watch Oilers and Flames games, Manitobans, Jets, so on and so on. You still do have the Leafs and Habs, of course, the two Solitudes, the two original six that have their legions, or at least trickles of fans from coast to coast. I do think that's a little bit diminished, Blake, from where it once was, right? Just anecdotally, I find myself meeting fewer and Leafs and Habs fans than in previous years. And that's in part because just the further you get away from it, the more and more you have encultured fans of the local teams, right? Where, okay, dad or grandpa or grandma might have rooted for the Habs or the Leafs, but no, I've born bred British Columbia or born bred in Manitoba. I'm a Jets fan. I'm a Canucks fan.
So 7 games on opening night.
Okay.
Panthers, Hurricanes at 5. Habs and Leafs at 7. Penguins, Flyers at 7:30. Mm-hmm. Rangers, Bruins at 8. So big. Like, look at these matchups. Battle, Habs, Leafs, Penguins, Flyers, Rangers, Bruins, Canucks, Oilers at it's all Eastern time, 10 p.m. Eastern. Kings, Avalanche at 10 p.m. Eastern, and then Blackhawks, Golden Knights at 10:30 p.m.
You talked about the Stanley Cup final and the overlap. Some think that Florida, Carolina is the smart way to do it. That'll be banner raising night for the Hurricanes against the two-time reigning champion Florida Panthers heading into last season. So the last 3 Stanley Cups in that Florida-Carolina opening night matchup with the Hurricanes raising their first banner in 20 years.
Yeah.
And then there's big news emanating from Washington, D.C. and the U.S. Capitol, where Congress has approved the switch to permanent daylight savings time, and that matches British Columbia's move from earlier this year. Now, that's not a fait accompli. It goes to the Senate now.
Yeah. President has already said he would sign it, so it's just up to the Senate.
If he says it, the Senate will do his bidding. Typically, that's how this Senate, Republican Senate, has worked. What are the implications then for the sports schedule going forward?
Well, it's huge for TV scheduling, right? Because otherwise, what do you do with a national broadcast that's in Alberta, which is the same time zone as
BC?
As BC, all of a sudden, you're not talking about. You're either not getting the Vancouver audience in the prime time, or you're doing it really late locally in Edmonton and Calgary. If you're doing it just really complicates matters. Not to mention crossing the border into Washington State and being in a different time zone than what Vancouver is. So a Vancouver-Seattle home and home gets all screwy as well.
That made no sense to me. As difficult as it will be to understand all the changes for those of us who are accustomed to a neat and tidy, okay, Alberta's 1 hour ahead, Winnipeg's 2 hours ahead, Toronto's 3 hours ahead, Halifax is 4 hours ahead.
So if they can do this before fallback in early November, then I think disaster averted in terms of trying to figure it all out. And I think the other provinces would fall in line accordingly. In fact, many have already said that they just need everybody on the same page before they make the change. And it sounds like the U.S. will help to dictate that, even though BC was first to the
Yeah. Well, and if I'm not mistaken, Premier Eby had said in the past, like, okay, we're ready to do this, but we want it to be in concert with the West Coast of the United States.
Yeah.
And then
Just took too long.
Right, let's do it.
Saskatchewan is already abandoned.
Oh, Saskatchewan is
They were the forerunners.
Can I tell you my Saskatchewan Times story? So it's my first year traveling on the CFL beat. And we go to Regina. And I used to have to do these game boxes for the paper with kickoff time. And so I put the kickoff time this was for an Eastern paper, an Eastern market, so it has to be an Eastern time. So I put kickoff time 6 p.m. Well, it turns out kickoff was at 5 p.m.
He did the calculation wrong.
Right, because Saskatchewan was the
lone abdication.
Right. So sure enough, this is back in the days where people would call the newsroom. So the news desk, the newsroom is taking all these calls. You got the kickoff time wrong.
I joined in the second quarter.
Anyways, So I get back from my Regina trip, and, my editor calls me on the carpet. Hey, you got to be careful about this thing, kid. Kickoff times matter. Like, we had people join the game an hour late, calling the newsroom, bitching at us. Yep, fair enough, boss, my bad. So the next game's out here in Vancouver. So come on out. JP McConnell takes me for a nice dinner. We go to the Cannery.
Mm-hmm.
The Cannery.
Yeah, I remember the Cannery.
Mm-hmm. I tell him the story. JP, a great mentor. Kid, So I'm in my hotel room the next morning, and the phone rings at an ungodly hour. It's JP. Matthew, you got the kickoff time wrong again. And I'm like, what? How could I get the damn kickoff time wrong? It's easy peasy. It's 3 hours. I knew this. So I go to my computer. I look at my file. No, I got the right time. I go to my email. I check my sent items. No, it's the right time. I call the news desk. I get somebody to pick up a physical copy of the paper. I'm like, do we have the kickoff time as 10 p.m. in the paper? Sure enough. Yeah, Matt, that's the kickoff time. What's going on here? So I called JP back, and I said, JP, I didn't get it wrong. What are you talking about? He goes, Matthew, my boy, you wrote kickoff time 10 p.m. If you look at the clock at BC Place Stadium when the ball is kicked off, it will read 7 p.m. A very JP thing to do.
Very,
right?
Yes.
Like 6:30 in the morning, the phone rings in the hotel room, and you're in a panic. Delight, glee, when I see him later that day at the game. And, of course, he's telling the story. Did you hear how I got Sakaris today?
That first game was between the Rough Riders and the Rough Riders.
Rough Riders. It was not.
No,
but
okay.
It could have been
Oh.
the Eastern Riders versus the Western Riders. The Green Riders
two
versus
totally different
the
teams.
Black Riders.
Space means everything.
Okay, what's Yellow Dog up to?
No time's needed to consume beer. You do it at your own pace. Or maybe it's wine. Yeah, it's wine time. Foolish Wine has released the Ripple Pinot Noir Rosé, a playful pour, easy charm, plenty of personalities, bursting with notes of sweet cherry, red apple, and strawberry, glides across the palate with a crisp, dry finish that keeps you coming back for another sip. I love a rosé in the summer. Light, lively, refreshing. Ripple is here to make waves all summer long. The Pinot Noir Rosé from Foolish Wine.
Yesterday, we talked about Shane Wright, the Seattle Kraken young forward who is on the block and seeking a trade. We asked about him on our poll question. We'll get to the results a little later. I wanted to follow up on a few things because I was surprised to see the number of people who were against the Canucks pursuing Shane Wright call him a first-round bust. I'm looking at you, Capspace Andy. Longtime audience member. We love Capspace Andy, of course, Hassan, the voice from Burnaby. Andy gets all up in my mention. It's like, no, absolute bust. Totally disagree. He is 22 years old with roughly 2 seasons of NHL games under his belt. I understand there's a lot of people out there that are tired of the reclamation projects of one-time first-round picks. I don't put Shane Wright in that bucket yet. Am I totally out to lunch on that? A 22-year-old we're calling a bust now with 160-some games of NHL experience?
No, he had a step-back season. He had a step, like his rookie, first full season in the NHL 2 years ago was very good. I mean, bordering on spectacular. If you jump into the league for the first time with 19 goals, 45 points.
That's the first full year.
First full year. Yeah. Like that's a really good first full year.
I thought so.
He strangely took a step back.
Not so strangely. We'll get to it in a second. First, this caught my eye. Mike, if we can bring up this visual. Very well done here. Yeah, there are 3 guys right there who didn't hit it out of the park in their first couple NHL seasons. Sam Bennett turned out to be a hell of a player. He had a hell of a playoffs at 18 years old, too. Mm-hmm. Dylan Strome, failure to launch with the Coyotes. He found it. Hey, Lower Mainlander Kyle Turris, who, by the way, same agent, Kurt Overhart, same deal. Overhart got him a trade to Ottawa, took off with the Senators.
Right.
So I'm just not there on first round bust yet. And this graphic says change of scenery. I'm not even sure it's that.
There's not been a ton of pressure on him with the Kraken. Like,
No.
There's often the case for a lot of these players is so much pressure and expectation they need a new change of scenery. I don't think that is it for Shane Wright.
Right. And I like what Sapster has written about him. If you're not following Sapster on X, you should. And he started writing and publishing now. Good on him. He likes Wright as a right-wing hybrid center. Considering his lack of defensive ability on retrievals, thinks he would fit well with Pettersson and Carlson. Transitions the puck very well in the neutral zone. Sets up chances off the zone entry. Likes to be below the goal line around the net.
Except if Pettersson's the cost, of course.
Well, yes, of course. Of course, he's a right shot, so a right shot center and a left shot center on the same line.
Yep.
And then Sapster dove even deeper, looking at the last 2 seasons, 5-on-5 for Wright. And we're not going to go through all the stats there, but in terms of even strength goals, points, high danger chances. And this while being 25th on the team in ice time.
Yeah.
So as he concludes, on a per 60 basis, he's outperformed Matty Beniers, their first line center, over the last 2 years. Interesting data on the underlying profile. Sets up chances, doesn't get set up himself. Elite at converting successful entries into scoring chances, and a heat map that shows them all around the net front.
And like a lot of young players, it's really easy for a team that's sort of struggling to catch flight. It's really easy for coaches to say,
exactly,
the 21-year-old is the guy I'm not going to give more ice time to today.
Like, I'm not sure that Lane Lambert is the final and correct word on Shane Wright.
Right. Yeah, correct. We got to stop saying right after we talk about Shane Wright. Correct.
He's also had been plus. He's never had a minus season. He's playing in Seattle. I mean,
right?
I know we don't love plus minus.
No,
but that's something.
No, but over 160 some games, whatever is
when there's
total
consistency there, I might say something. Yeah.
Sapter thinks he could be a second liner, and I think there are a lot of other people, both scouts and data people, who would agree. And again, you're not paying an exorbitant cost here if you're the Canucks. This is a player that wants out. The Kraken do not have leverage. But for me, he is not yet first-round bust. He is not yet reclamation
Would
project.
you rather Alexis Lafreniere or Shane Wright?
Shane Wright.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. Well, in part because Lafreniere is getting paid now, right? I mean, and Lafreniere is a pure winger. Scott Wheeler of The Athletic dropped his drafted prospects rankings now that we have passed through a draft. And Canucks News Summaries, which is another account you should be following on X. We know we have people investigating different content options within the market here. You absolutely follow Canucks News Summaries. Does a great job of recapping Canucks news just about everywhere. Wheeler really likes Caleb Malhotra, has him as the number 8 overall prospect. Still has Ogren as a prospect and puts Novotny in there at number 63, Ogren at 58. Lekramaki at 71, Villander at 73. Boy, Canucks fans are big mad at Coots at 95. Wheeler is not a Braden Coots fan by the looks of it.
Coots will use that as fuel, I'm sure.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I would like to see Braden Coots be a every night regular in the Vancouver Canucks lineup this season.
At some point, you mean?
Doesn't necessarily have to be for the opener against Edmonton in late September.
Yeah.
But at some point. And, of course, this year you can send one 19-year-old to the American Hockey League, and if that is Braden Coots, I think that is a more than fine place for him to start.
I think that's a good place to start.
Awesome training camp and preseason last year, earned himself a few NHL games, did not look ready for the task, completely understandable as an 18-year-old, but had a terrific year. Of course, got traded from Seattle to Prince Albert. Was Prince Albert?
Yeah.
And ready for next day. So Braden Coots as a Vancouver Canuck every night regular at some point next year, I think is a successful season.
Assuming this is the final roster, they've also got some complications. Like Filipino will be, I think, fully healthy, barring a setback here in the summer.
Yeah.
You do have to accommodate for him. And people might be at home going, what do you mean Filipino? Well, he's on the roster. They have to do something.
Well, he's on a
with him.
one-way contract, so you're paying him.
Yeah. So they're going to give him some runway here.
If I'm not mistaken, he's in the final year of his deal. And so what you're hoping there is that Filipino plays well enough to turn himself into a trade asset by the deadline.
Yeah, it wouldn't be much of one. I think everybody will doubt there's no way you're trusting Filipino, even if he has a wonderful season to that point.
Well,
but
once upon a time, though, that was the conversation around Sydney, right? Like, oh, the head injuries. Is he ever going to be right? No. Turns out he's right. We talked about Thomas Drance yesterday and posting and teasing about a future podcast and show after the downfall of Sportsnet 650. And we mentioned yesterday that while some of you may know, but others would not know, when a radio station goes down like that, there becomes a big distinction between employees and contractors. Drance works for The Athletic and was a contractor for 650. Mm-hmm. Guys like Halford and Brough were employees of Rogers, and there becomes a significant distinction there, particularly if Rogers looks to enforce non-competes and things like that. Talked to a couple other contractors yesterday. Kevin Woodley of In Goal Media, who, of course, did fabulous work on that station, and we're going to have Kevin on the show, I think, tomorrow. And Tom Mayanek of the Sport Market. And the Sport Market started a few months before this show, Blake. He's a few months older than S&P. Both of us coming up to 15 years here, if I'm not mistaken. Tom Mayanek finally posted yesterday to social media. It's been a full week, and I still can't get my head around the end of Sportsnet 650 radio last Tuesday. It's a loss for sports fans, especially hockey fans, the sports broadcast sector, multiple sports stakeholders, including the pro franchises and the larger sport community. It's also a tough nut for the station's passionate team of on-air talent, producers, programmers, and engineers. Thank you for your dedication to the craft, and thank you for allowing me to play a small part through the Sport Market these past 3 years. Thanks for listening. Now, Tom's Sport Market show, the Bulls and Bears of sports business, ran on weekend mornings. But Tom was much more than just a contractor and a weekend radio host for 650. Tom Mayanek is one of the reasons why we had sports talk in Vancouver. And I say had in past tense, and that's sad. And Tom's not going to sit there and take any bows because that's not the sort of guy that Tom is. And he went on in that tweet thread to shout out the late Paul Carson, David Stadnick, Bob Smart, Cam Smart, the late Duncan Watt, saying, I'm proud to have been part of the original Grand Slam radio group back in 2000. Shout out to as well to George Svalis, yes, thank you, who also made things happen in the pioneering years. Thanks to all the early supporters. We're all kids in the candy store. And Tom's told me the story before that basically him, Paul Carson, who of course was an established media personality here on television and thought sports talk radio could work, and David Stadnick, dear David Stadnick, who is just a lovely guy, decided they were going to go out and raise the money and get a sports talk radio station off the ground. And they made a trip to Toronto to talk to the owners of what is CKST, AM 1040. And they got it together, and they got it on the air. And for 25, more than 26 years, there was sports talk radio, and in some cases plural, in this market. And that does not happen. It does not come close to happening without Tom Mayanek. I am just so utterly sad for Tom. And I know he's doing everything now to recast and make sure the sport market has a home, because it was heard over a collection of Rogers stations, including the All Sports format in Calgary, which also was shuttered last Tuesday. and in some on some stations in British Columbia. But like he has to go back now and find distribution partners and perhaps new platform and all that. Anyways, I wanted to shout out Tom, and we're gonna have Tom on the show here at some point as well, because the entire format and everything that's gone on here in this market for the last quarter century doesn't happen without Tom Manick. He was that central and important.
We used to have a sport market preview every Thursday or Friday afternoon.
Friday
on the show.
after. Blake, it was our last segment on Fridays at one point, and it used to get a little silly from time to time, if you'll remember.
As Tom tried to keep it a little bit more straight and narrow.
Because Tom was such a straight and narrow guy, and I was like, I cannot just deal with straight and narrow on a Friday
getting punchy
at 5:46 p.m. when the segment starts, and we're out of here at 6.
Yeah.
So, we'd play Def Leppard's Animal going in, call him an animal, when really he was anything but.
Rihanna,
Cheers to the Weekend.
Yeah. Back when we could play popular music.
Roxy Music's More Than This. We'll sing along with Tom.
I hate Roxy Music. You know that.
Yeah, I know. You used to call me big guy. Hey, big guy.
Mayonnaise.
Anyways, our best goes out to Tom, and of course his collaborators, Ken Richardson at Pastime Sports, John Festinger, Aziz Rajwani, who were major parts of the sport market for a long
those
time.
guys, their weekends have opened up.
I was talking to Festinger about that yesterday, actually, 2 days ago. Anyways, big news in the National Hockey League today in Detroit, where the Red Wings announced Steve Yzerman is out, stepping down as the team's head of hockey operations.
Yeah, you stepped down, Matt.
Becoming a senior advisor to Chris Ilitch. Search for the new president, GM, is underway in mid-July. I'm sure this was according to script and has nothing to do with Michigander Dylan Larkin's trade request. You've got a born and bred hockey hero there from your city, your state, who wants out because the Yzer plan hasn't gotten to the playoffs yet.
No, and I think that the public mess of this Dylan Larkin trade was just too much.
A little too much to bear.
Yeah, and the fact that it comes on a bedrock of very little success on the ice here under the Yzerman years led them to this very easy decision, I think. And to all of us not named Yzerman, we applaud you.
Yeah, well. And I used to work with Steve's brother, Chris, who has a big background in newspapers and wire service reporting. Chris was terrific as a collaborator, co-worker, and now scouts in the National Hockey League. And Chris was quite quiet, but really friendly. Steve was not that friendly. Steve is not that friendly. Steve has quite an edge. And so, when you're not a get-along guy and the results aren't there, even with a name and a history and a legend like Steve Yzerman, you're susceptible. Like, I don't necessarily celebrate anybody losing their jobs, but how you treat people is important, and meritocracy is a thing. And so I can completely understand this from the Red Wings. And that must have taken some stones from the Ilitch, because there is, outside of Gordie Howe as a legacy, there is no bigger name in Detroit hockey than Steve Yzerman, right?
No, but it's been sullied. This is
fans who don't know him, especially those who don't know him as a player, are sitting there going, like, why am I being asked to put all my faith in this guy? To be fair, Steve laid most of the groundwork for the Tampa Bay Lightning's Stanley Cups. Julian Brisebois took over and did an excellent job as a steward and got them over the hump. But a lot of the legwork was done by Steve Yzerman in Tampa. He deserves a lot of credit for those cups.
I think maybe he was a smaller cog than we thought originally, though, based on his prowess here. I think his star has fallen way farther than Trevor Linden's in Vancouver, for instance.
Well, yeah.
Because of the way this finished.
But I'm sure it didn't feel like it at the time, but the way Trevor went out here as Canucks president of hockey operations, I think actually did his brand quite well.
Yes.
Because it juxtaposed him versus an unpopular owner.
Yeah.
And of course, with the passage of time, Trevor was right. Francesco was wrong. That much is clear.
Yeah.
Let's get to our menu today. It's brought to you by our friends at Greta. Fantastic spot to pregame, postgame. You are mere steps from the arena or the stadium. And if you're looking for a venue for your next private function, you should check out Greta. It's got the fantastic arcade that encircles the bar. Tons of fun. Your guests will love it. It's an approachable menu of street food. The poutine is absolutely decadent. It serves too. The smash burger, delicious. You got your own private bar there at your disposal. For more info to book your event, go to gretabar.com. Greta 50 West Cordova. Let the games begin. Don Taylor's on the show today. We haven't talked to Donnie for a couple of years. At one point, Donnie and Dolly had a formal collaboration agreement with Rogers and 650, which prevented them from being on this show. So it was great to have Don back on the show, talk about everything that's happened with Vancouver sports media, but also talk Canucks and also talk World Cup and the way it's transformed the city here. Share some stories from our demise on 1040. Guy held a press conference in a Speedo a couple of days ago. We had to get Don's take on that, right? We will also talk to Ryan Gauld, captain of Vancouver Whitecaps FC, back after 8 months. Hadn't seen him since MLS Cup. He returned to the pitch last week in the Canadian Championship Series, played again this past week. He's feeling better. He's looking better. He's sounding better, Blake. That was as chipper as I can remember. Must be a big relief. Of course, the Caps are into Chicago as their MLS schedule resumes tomorrow. Later in the show, we will talk BC Place, and we will talk soccer, and we will talk soccer across Canada and how much of a boost the World Cup was, plus this story about the Whitecaps running BC Place or the proposal and what that could do for them. We'll talk about...
One thing we don't mention, I'll mention now, that proposal, while it doesn't supplant a new stadium, allows them to, it's a lifeline for a while and allows them to conduct business as usual and salvages the last half of the season in terms of the subscription to the team, right? It allows fans to be like, exhale a bit and go, okay,
yeah,
I can still show up here and know that they're going to be around
so
tomorrow.
I think you have a lot of soccer fans and Whitecaps fans are excited about this team and whether they can get over the top.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they were right there. They were one step away last year in Miami. And I think you've got a segment of fans here in Vancouver that are with them till the last game is played and will cheer their hearts out. And I get it. I think you've got another segment that have a little more trepidation and are like, okay, where's this going? Am I putting my money behind something that's going to be ripped out of the city and moved to Las Vegas? And I get that too.
But again, if they sign this deal to take over BC Place, it's not going to be for a year.
Right. Well, I mean, remember, this deal is independent of MLS, but you would have to think, given Don Garber's previous comments, the commissioner, that this is an MLS-blessed deal. It's good to see it finally tabled because the one thing we had always said is, okay, if your commissioner is talking about this, how come the Whitecaps haven't acted on it? And is that a canary in the mine shaft that ownership just wants to sell and cash out? Well, if the deal does land at the government, at PAVCO, then that is an expression of intent to some degree, and I think that is important.
Yeah.
We'll also talk some Open Championship later in the program. And
a Sunday like any other Sunday, or unlike any other Sunday.
Well, we're sure hoping, if you're a fan of English sports, and some World Cup talk as well. That's all coming up. Time now for our Bet365 bets of the day. I was all over France, so I was massive loser yesterday.
Cody Bellinger got MVP, so I missed that one.
Okay. I'm going Open Championship.
Okay.
Justin Rose is plus 3,000. We'll get into it later in the show, but give me Rosie to win his home open.
I'm going to go to the ice. Canucks plus 210 over the Oilers on opening night. Going to go taking the goals, though. Plus 1.5. Canucks over the Oilers. Going to need the help. Minus 120. So just put that aside. That's going to be 3 months from now.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
But they're on the menu. Hockey is on the menu.
Well, it's 2 months, 2 and a bit. The worst thing about hockey season, at some point every year it ends, but then you see the NHL schedule release and you realize it's about to start again. But you do have some time between now and the first puck drop. Good news, Bet365, plenty of games, just none that are lacing up skates. Bet365 Casino. You can choose between hundreds of slots, live tables, your favorite games, or at least your second favorite games. Must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. Don Taylor is next. Sick Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center. Our next guest is a BC Sports Hall of Famer, a broadcasting icon in this province, one half of the team, Donnie and Dolly on Czech television on summer sabbatical. It is our pleasure to welcome. It's been too long, Don Taylor. How are you?
Really good. The summer sabbatical part sums it up. I think it's been wonderful.
It speaks for itself. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike was reminding me, we had you on during Grey Cup a couple of years ago because we were all down at the convention center celebrating. I got to ask, because I know you've been on vacation, and of course he lives in the castle in Anmore with the moat and everything, but have you got a chance to get into the city and experience World Cup, Donnie?
Well, yeah, in not a game, but our studios are Donnie and Dolly Studios. A lot of people think they're in Victoria. They're actually in Vancouver, in downtown Vancouver. I try to get my steps in after every show, and it's funny, Matt, because I saw it being built, everything being built, the bars being extended out of Granville Mall, the situation with the Jack Pool Plaza, the big soccer ball, Science World. And I said to myself, man, and all the painting and everything, the cleaning up that went on, I just thought to myself, is this going to work? Like, do they know what they're doing? And I guess when I was thinking that, I forgot about the word world in World Cup. And I got a lot of the vibe by heading downtown after work every day, every work day. And it was really special. It was way beyond my expectations, especially when it came to the Canadian games.
Well, P&E's on your way home, too. Did you stop at the Fan Fest, or any of your kids go to Fan Fest or anything like that?
You know what? I grew up near there, and I still haven't been. And just
you got to go down.
Forget Fan Fest. I haven't been to the amphitheater yet. And,
yes.
And you know how old I am, or around how old I am. I am going to go see the Guess Who in August. So it's at the amphitheater, and I look forward to that, even if Randy Bachman and Burton Cummings are sitting down while in concert.
I had to when I saw they were on the bill, I was like, I had to Wikipedia to make sure they were both still with us. And I was like, wow, they are. Yeah. Congratulations to both of them. Yes.
As I was sorting this interview with Donnie, I was looking back at our text thread, and I realized that I texted him last summer, said, Donnie, I stopped at a BCL in North Burnaby the other day, walked past an old lady at a bus stop hacking a dart and drinking a can of Old Milwaukee. And his reply was, say hello to my sister.
North Burnaby has changed.
Neighborhood has changed. Of course, it's been a great month, 5-6 weeks for the city. We're all reveling in all of this. Once again, Vancouver showing off to the world and knocking it out of the park at a major sporting event. But of course, we're asking Donnie to come on here because of some sad news, and that is the end of Sports Talk Radio in Vancouver. And of course, you were a massive part of this, my friend, for more than a quarter century. I've seen what you had to say on social media, but your reaction to the news last week about 650.
Oh, just how many emotions did all of us go through? A lot of people go, "Well, they're your competitors, aren't you happy?" And well, no, it's jobs in our industry, and it's just happened way too often. So, disappointed, somewhat shocked, definitely angry, and also wondering what's next, and if there's a possibility there could be somebody privately who could come up with the radio station, and there's just a million ways to go with this, Matt. But I think overwhelmingly it was angry. It was anger just because this happens so much, and it just seems so easy for them to let go of people. And I don't know about you guys, but people out there in television, radio, podcast world know that it's a very small world. Broadcasting, there's not many of us employed in that industry, especially now in that industry. In Canada, I managed to talk to a couple of people who were in the room when the news was delivered, and there's some things that happened that were really, really unfair and inexcusable as well. I don't know if it rivals what happened in 2021 when they locked up the control board on us at 10:40, but it was close, and it's really sad. It's really sad, and it makes me angry, and it makes a lot of people angry and disappointed. And then plus, guys, I still listen to radio in the car. Okay,
So do I.
and I've got this cluster on my menu in my Toyota, and the three stations in the cluster are, and I'm not kidding here, I still have it there: 1040, 11:30, and 650. And they're all gone.
They're all gone.
I know.
Yeah, the three stations that I listen to the most. Now I have to revert back to my childhood when I'm in the car. I've got Sirius, but for local content, I'm listening to NW, which takes me back to my mom and dad having it on 24/7 back in the 70s and 80s. And
I went CBC
I am
today.
too.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I thought he was going towards, so I popped in a cassette to the deck.
8-track.
What's next?
Boston
That's
on
next.
8-track. I've often pushed back a little bit on your anti-Toronto thing because I understood the business sense, and I understood that hey, that's just half of the country is in that area, so that's why that happens. But I've never been more in your camp than I have in the last week because it's just another example, glaring example. And to take people behind the curtain here at our show, we've been having these uploading internet problems. We could download a movie today in our spot in beautiful Ultra HD, but of course we're sending out, so we need upload speed. We've been having troubles with that. So we're on the phone talking to our Rogers provider, who is merged with Shaw.
Yeah.
But they can't do it because there's some co-chair with TELUS. So we are dealing with effectively 3 different telecom brands to get our internet fixed here. And to me, that was just like this is all part of the same problem. This isn't like decisions are made a million miles away. Whatever we're doing here, they could care less about. They're not going to try to fix it and streamline this process. They don't care, Donnie. And
I think that's it, Blake. I think you nailed it here. Let me go back to what I said earlier. Reportedly, when the news was delivered by whomever at 180 West 2nd, where CKAWX and 650 were stationed, that there were still people in the room, and the people who delivered the news were laughing and giggling about where they were going to have lunch. Cardero's or the Cactus Club. And it's just like, Blake, you nailed it. They don't care. And I think I get it. Radio is not what it used to be. There's all sorts of competition. Things are moving in a different direction. But I think the thing that pisses me off the most, and I don't think I really conveyed this all that well with my tweets and, various interviews or whatever, is just the way it happened. Going back to locking up the control board about what happened on 180 West 2nd Avenue, and just very cold and uncaring, and that upsets me as well.
The story I got is they called the meeting and then expected Halford and the morning guys to do the show, and I don't believe Mike and the morning guys did the show, because I think they understood what was coming down the pipe at the 9:30 or 10 a.m. meeting, whatever it was. The thing that I don't get, Don, is they buy Shaw, which of course had a massive presence here in Western Canada.
Yeah.
They're still trying to sell cable and internet packages and cell phones to Western Canadians.
Yeah.
While taking away their radio stations. Like Blake uses the phrase loss leader a lot. Like you and I both know that sports radio is expensive to produce. Like there's no way 650 was making
just based
money.
On your and Blake's salaries at 1040. I mean, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But and then the other thing, Don, like I don't think they understand what they're doing to Canadian divisions regionally, like Western alienation. Like we had John Shannon. I know you guys have John on the show as well. Yeah. And he said, like, it got to the point with Hockey Night in Canada where it was such an institution. And of course, we were coming out of the 7 different NHL cities on any given Saturday, but we went to go a level deeper. We wanted to go down into smaller town Canada, which is why you have Ron McLean talking about the Red Deers and the Tofinos and every, so like that was sort of the duty of care that a Canadian company, that a Canadian institution showed our country from coast to coast back in the days when John was running Hockey Night in Canada. Like these fuckers don't even care about the other big cities outside of the market, outside of the Toronto market.
Which is shocking.
Like that's the thing that just, it's like, there's a lot of people in this country. If you want to be a Canadian company, you got to regard them at some level.
Well, the other thing, Matt, is and we remember this, but it was 2017 when Rogers bought 650, the old Sea Isle station, oldies and goldies and all that stuff, and turned it into a sport. It wasn't that long ago. And even just buying up all these stations throughout Western Canada, it really, relatively speaking, wasn't that long ago. Digital was around, social media platforms. What was their plan? What exactly was their plan? I don't like. These are the supposed great minds back east, and what exactly were they intending to do? And and why is it so easy to let go of people's jobs and change their lives? You and I and Blake, we all know people that are still affected by this, who haven't really got their. This is going back to when 1040 went kaput back in 2021. They're still scrambling. And I just don't know what exactly were they thinking when they made these big purchases. I don't get it.
100% with you, Don. I brought that question up last week. We both know Scott Moore. I like Scott a lot personally. He's a terrific company. And look, he interviewed me. He wanted to bring me over to 650. I just didn't believe in the plan, because I'm sitting there going, who starts up an AM radio station in 2017 revolved around the Canucks rights, but really the sports team's radio rights, they weren't what they used to be, even in 2017, right? And especially when you're the second sports talk radio station in the market, going up against the legacy station that had all these longstanding personalities, beloved personalities, guys like yourself, who actually had full careers before the radio station even started, right?
Mojo Sports Radio on Line 1. Yeah. Somebody else tried that once. It didn't work.
Yeah. Well, no names mentioned here, but I was told before, this is before 2017, that a company back east, not Bell, nothing associated with 1040, looked at the success of 1040 and looked into opening a second all sports radio station. This is before 650. They looked into it and said, no, that will never, ever work. There's one station there. That's all Vancouver can handle, and it's successful. Let's leave it alone and forget it, because it won't happen. And lo and behold, they end up opening up 650, and the rest is history. And we're left with nothing. And Blake, you were mentioning mentioning 7:30, and we forget about Mojo. It was 7:30, right? I believe that was the frequency, which is now NW. But there was a time, a short period of time, not that long ago, when Vancouver, BC, had 3 all sports radio stations. 1040, 650, 1410, which was owned by Bell, and it was associated with 1040, was also on the air at that time with all sports radio coming syndication out of the States.
Yeah.
And everybody, they thought it was a good idea back then. So how do you go from 3 to 0 in a very short period of time? And now I'm listening to, Mayor Ken Sim talk about Kitsilano Pool on NW every day.
So the big question.
More on that later. We have a press conference to discuss from that event, Don.
The big question, we've sort of been talking about the powerful not caring about the little man. But let me ask you this: the Vancouver Canucks are the local power. How do you think it affects them? Do they care? And beyond, people continuing what they're doing and, watching you guys, watching us, listening, how do you think people will change their consumption of the Vancouver Canucks?
I think they'll kneel in front of their radios and pray that an all sports station gets resurrected in Vancouver. I don't know. They said, did they not say that, it was, look, I'm getting serious. I got the glasses off here. Did they not say it was going to another Rogers property?
Yeah, yes, that part. The games, yes, but I just mean the over. That's 3 hours of the day. The 10 hours that just got scooped out. Does it just go to whatever podcast pop up and do the Canucks do something? Do you think? And do the Canucks care about any of this? They should.
I think maybe I don't know about you guys. Well, I actually do know about you guys, but I think there's an element of, and it's gone away somewhat with the recent changes, of anger towards the media when it comes to.
Yeah, you do know about this. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, we've recently just had our first Canuck interview in 5 years, whatever it's been. I don't know what, but it's so maybe them not knowing much about the media landscape. Maybe they don't care. Maybe the Aquilini family doesn't care, but they should, because you guys have made this point. We've made this point on our show. If they're talking about you in negative terms, you know what? The media is still talking about you. They care. And the fact that there's emotion there and anger. And, my dad told me when I first, was a teenager and, getting interested in girls, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And that's what they have to worry about. And they shouldn't even think about or care about people ripping into them because, the power play was bad in 2022, which I think they do worry about that sort of thing. So they should care because it helps their product. It helps them sell their product, whether it's negative or positive or not. People care. There's emotion there, and there's fire, and that's gone away. And you don't want that to happen long term. No chance.
And of course, they don't rip the team if you win, Don, and they actually have some agency over wins and losses. There's that too, right?
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you this. You asked the question, how could we have had 3 sports talks and now we have none? You've got 3 kids of a certain age. Do any of them listen to radio? They're all under 30, right? Do any of them?
Car. Well, look, listen, as Blake knows, I'm very cheap. So none of the kids have expensive cars. They're still equipped with radios. And I think 2 of them have CD players. So not quite cassettes. So that's when they would. And of course, when they're driving around with Dad's listening to the radio, so maybe it's a little bit different. But by and large, mostly obsessed with social media,
right,
and that sort of thing versus the radio. And I get it. I get it. It's a different.
We had our intern in here, our former intern, the other day. He's turning 21 this week, and I said to him, how much did you listen to 650? He went, well, a little bit, and he's a huge sports fan. I'm like, how many friends, classmates do you have who listened to the station? He's like, one other. That's about it. And tons of Canucks fans. What I'm trying to do to bring a little solace, but also, not just sit there in the depths of wallow about all this, is just to try and think of it as a replatforming, right?
Yeah.
Like the people and the shows and the content and the audience are all there. You just need different distribution channels. We found a different distribution channel. You guys have found a different distribution channel. And yours is a most interesting model at Czech. And I see people on social media wondering about whether it could be recast. That sort of model could work in radio. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that because of the challenges of radio we've talked about. But a word or two about the Czech model, Donnie, because this is an employee-owned company. British Columbians doing British Columbia content for British Columbians. It's a novel model, and I absolutely applaud the folks at Czech there.
I think, man, Blake, that one thing about Czech and that we got driven home to us by them is that they still believe that foundation of traditional media still has some worth. Now, what I think we've done differently versus what 650, what Rogers and Bell did is, I think, and you guys as well, have done a great job of putting out Twitter clips, YouTube clips, being on YouTube, things like that, a podcast that follows the show. So it's not just traditional media. That's the foundation. And then you shoot out from there. And I'm not so sure 650 and going back to the 1040 days did a great job of that. And maybe, that foundation of traditional media goes away, but you still have that. So that's probably number one with Czech. The model with us is, I don't know if you guys are aware, I think you are, but we're employee owned. Our part of our paychecks at the beginning went towards purchasing a portion of the company. We get dividends when the company does well. The other thing that Czech does that maybe a lot of people don't realize is it owns land. It owns the building that is they broadcast from.
As if you need more land in your portfolio, for God's sake.
Okay, okay? Hold on a second. Yeah, it's not that much, but they own the station, which doesn't happen. Like usually, stations are other than small stations up in Red Deer Industrial Creek where I work, but they own the land. I think they own the strip mall next to the land, and they collect rent off various companies. So it's not just about broadcasting; it's about venturing into other ventures, and it really works. And they're not afraid to try things. The other thing that they're really good at is looking at older, not necessarily older, but decent broadcasters who have been fired and laid off and are out of work, and they could probably get them for cheap. So that they do a really good job of that. So there's a lot going on. They do things. I'm surprised more stations back east, wherever in Canada, haven't followed their model, because it seems to be working.
Yeah, here. I applaud them for it. Don and Rick own part of the building. Like they own the men's room. They own side-by-side urinals there in the men's room.
Before we say goodbye, can we talk some hockey with them for a second?
I just have one other.
One other industry question.
Yes. Well, it's less question and more story. Don, you remember the last day of 1040 and our activities there in the building?
Yeah. Yes, the hugging and all that.
Well, yeah. So 1040 shuts us down in the morning and says your access cards will work today.
Till noon or whatever.
You can go and retrieve your affairs.
Yeah.
So I drive over. I walk into our Jock Lounge. It's Don. It's Moj. It's Ryan Henderson there. We're all collecting our affairs. There's an outdoor patio right beside the Jock Lounge.
Yes.
Moj says, why don't we send this off? I've got some cigars.
Okay, I remember that, of course.
So we go on out and we're smoking our cigars at a safe social distance during the pandemic.
And then up on a patio that had been deemed a non-smoking patio a year or two previous.
What are they going to do? Fire us at that point? They were nice cigars. This is the Moj. He doesn't buy cheap cigars. So we're smoking the cigars. And then the DJs from the FM stations see us. They know what's taken place. Yeah. Very sweet people like Olivia Jones and Leanne McLaren come out to pay their respects and then decide we love a photo. Okay, well, we're supposed to social distance. No, get a little tighter for the sake of the frame of the photo. So we're sitting there with our cigars. Finish the day, return to my apartment, think nothing of it. That night, I get a call from Ryan Henderson. Maddie, just so you know, Donnie's not feeling all that well tonight. Neither is Lisa. I'm like, oh, well, they're going for COVID tests, and Moj and I are going for COVID tests as well.
Super spreader.
The next day, it becomes clear that Don and Moj and Ryan all catch COVID. But then my favorite part of the story, Don, is the same HR person who we talked to on that Tuesday to deal with our severance and whatnot had to call us back 48 hours later to report a COVID incident in the building, and you might do well to, like, think about the worst weeks ever in human relations, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We had to can them, and then 48 hours later, we had to call them and tell them, you may have caught COVID at the building we allowed you to come back to retrieve.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant by the hugging, and I remember the cigars and the picture, and to lose your job and catch COVID, and Lisa and I got it bad.
I remember
it was not a great bout of COVID. It was not a great 24 hours. Let me tell you.
I remember a week or two later, because there was some talk, folks, we're taking you way behind the curtain, of some conglomeration of the shows.
Wait, a Zoom meeting.
Yes, and you still were not doing well then, and that was, again, sometime after the fact. Okay, before you go, all these changes for the Canucks, we saw the coaching staff unveiled. I don't think I saw any of your clips on Caleb being the draft pick ultimately. Just the direction of the team. Do you feel like they've got it right? They're no longer the rumor team of the NHL. I think the Detroit Red Wings with Steve Yzerman being sort of pushed out. I think they might be the on fire wastebasket of the National Hockey League right now. So that's nice. It's no longer the Canucks.
Yeah. There's a lot of things, and I think I overuse this word, but they have a focus, which hasn't happened for a long time, and just gosh darn, they managed to use that R word, rebuild, and that's their focus. So that's good, and it's not just talking about it. Their actions are speaking here with the 9 draft picks and the Marcus Pettersson trade, where they got a draft pick way on down the line. It just seems to be really, really smart. I like that, and the veterans they signed. I have no problem with those contracts, especially because of the term. There's no 6 years, $6 million a year Louis Eriksson type deals there. That, again, speaking to the focus, you can unload those players if you want, or if they contribute in a meaningful way, or extend them, whatever the case may be. Let me say this too: that I like the people they hired, in that, yes, they were there all along, and it seems like the easy hire, but they did their due diligence. They looked around. Maybe they made an offer to someone else, but they looked around, and I think they realized that they had the guys in-house. But I would have more problem with it if they didn't look around. And let me just say this, guys, just as an aside. Last week, Rick and I went to the Ernie Punch McLean Memorial, the celebration of life at Queen's Park Arena. And this wouldn't happen in a lot of regions, but Ryan Johnson and Hendrik Sedin were there with Craig McEwen. They were all there. They said hello, by the way. And that just wouldn't happen. It was just in your Queen's Park Arena and all that tradition. And does anyone really? Yes, they do care. People in this community care, and that was a big deal. And that's just a little thing. And it said to me that they've got the right people in charge here. That's the way it seems. Good. I know we're very early in the process, but everything's pointing in the right direction.
Well, as we've long said on this show, we like to end on a funny one, particularly when you have a guest like Don Taylor, right, Don?
Yes.
Carmen took me to Kit's Pool yesterday. We had a wonderful late afternoon. Saw plenty of Speedos. Strangely, none of them conducting press conferences. I know you caught this story Monday, buddy, but here's Parks Board Commissioner Brennan Bastiovansky, and you've been in the business a long time, bro. Have you ever seen the Speedo press conference?
No, I've never seen it, but man, that just screams Vancouver, doesn't it? I'm sort of like,
It screams kits too, kits.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Good on him, by the way. That's pretty impressive. But that's
you got it, flaunt it.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm just worried we're going to see this on KTLA in a few days. Like other markets are going to pick up on it. Meanwhile, in Vancouver, a press conference was held.
Yeah. Well, I think people in the States right now are focused when it comes to this part of the world on bears stealing golf clubs. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Thanks for this,
buddy.
Donnie.
Great catching up. Give our best to Lisa and the kids, Rick and Ryan. Thank you. And now that you're released from the Rogers clutches, let's talk some more. Okay.
Yeah, we're right back at you guys, and anytime. Have a great summer.
Thanks,
Don. Sick Harrison Price from the historic Wall Center. We welcome back to the program. A sight for sore eyes last week for Caps supporters. Their team captain, midfielder, Mr. Ryan Gauld. How are you, mate? Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you both. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Good. Glad to be back in the pitch.
Oh, to say the least. It's great to see you back for the first time in 8 months. How did it feel when you stepped foot last week at Swangard?
It was good. Everything's been feeling good. That break we had there for the World Cup kind of gave me a good time for myself, just to give me time to get back up to speed a little bit and play a little bit of catch up. So I'm feeling good and looking forward to the next few games we've got coming.
Did you ramp up the training during that break, or did you give yourself another chance to recover? How did you use it?
It was more about catching up, because even before the break, I started feeling good and started taking part in training. So it was more about kind of closing the gap on the fitness and just trying to put myself in as good a position as I could, for when the game started up again.
And do you still have a little bit of pain management after a game? You played 45 there a week ago. Was still a little bit of pain management there, or are you pain free?
No, I'm good. I'm feeling good. Obviously, it's been a long time since I've been in, training fully and involved in games. So, just not rushing that is going to be a big part as well of not making sure, I'm part of it for the long run, not just in the short term.
Don't want you to relive the last 8 months. Not a fun question, but what took so long, Ryan? Why was it a long recovery?
I'm not too sure, to be honest, but just, from the start, you could tell when something wasn't right, and then I'd probably rushed things myself, being told to begin with 6 weeks, and then it reaches 8, 10 and still not feeling good. I probably tried to rush it when I shouldn't have, which wouldn't have helped things. And then just with, the location of where the injury was, it was a place where it's apparently just takes a long time to recover, clearly. So there was that. And then in January, when we looked at things again, it was just decided the best route was a surgery, and it took a little bit longer again to recover from than we thought. But thankfully that's it has helped now, and I'm finally feeling good.
Did misery love company? Because you had a lot of it. The only thing I can think of is that the rest of the team was decimated by injury as well. So you had a lot of mates there on the side and in the gym and on the bike, and what a ridiculous run. The fact that you guys are still a first-place team is remarkable, given the injured starting 11 would probably give the starting 11 a pretty good run for its money.
Yeah, I think that goes to show, the good work that goes on in the training ground and everything that kind of goes on behind the scenes, that it doesn't matter who's been in, who's been out. Everyone's come in and done a job. So, it just shows the depth that we've got and the quality we've got throughout the team.
Yeah, Sam Adekube, Ranko Veselinovic, they're naming their firstborn Ryan after
Yes.
getting very close with him in the training room
Yes.
over the last few months. What's the status for tomorrow, Ryan? And when do you think you'll be able to go full 90?
I think a few more games, and then I'll be able to, hopefully be fit enough to go a 90. And yeah, until then, it's just playing at as high an intensity as I can in the minutes that I get, so that my body is in as good a place as possible for whenever I'm called upon to play the 90.
Is the ceremony of starting and playing a first half, is that annoying that you go through all of that to just play 45? Is it like what's the easiest thing for you to do right now in terms of deployment?
I guess if as much as anything, it's kind of just in your own head, like whether you play first half, second half, 20 minutes, 70, you just kind of get in your head that you've got to give it, what you've got, and do what you can to help the team. But there's nothing really that's like playing first half to second half's not a difference, or it's just whatever's decided, just play your part and do what you can.
What about positionally, Ryan, whether it's attacking midfield or if Jesper uses you elsewhere? Is there any difference in terms of your level and capabilities in terms of where you are on the pitch?
I'd like to think not. I'd like to think, personally I could still play my part from whether it be through the middle or a wider position, whatever it is. I'd like to feel like I can still chip in and play my part, and hopefully not do. The competition there's been good all over the pitch, so you just know that wherever you play, you've got to produce, because someone else is waiting in the wings to step in and do a good job.
You and Brian playing late there in Calgary the other day, and I don't know, it led to maybe a half chance or something, but just a little bit of interplay between you and Brian. I was like, that's comfort food. Ryan Gauld and Brian White passing to each other. That's the good stuff.
That's my Whitecaps. That's my club.
Do you have the same sort of feeling when a couple like good passes work? You're like, the magic is coming back here.
Yeah, me and Brian have played a lot of games together. We've been here a long time together, so we've built up a good relationship on the pitch, and it's one thing, linking up and training and stuff, but once we get the more minutes back in the pitch together, then hopefully that'll flow even better.
Yeah, Brian and Ryan, quite a combo here for the Caps. And what can you say about your teammates, Ryan? The beat goes on, a resounding victory last week. You got the result you needed on Monday. And like Blake and I sit here and marvel that whomever Jesper puts in the lineup, whether it's Gareth Semenkoff on Monday, seems to contribute to this club. It must be quite a culture, quite a vibe in that training room when so many guys are contributing so often.
Yeah, it's good to see, and like watching from outside the pitch, it's good to know that you see whoever's coming on, they're going to put in a performance, they're ready, they know exactly what's being asked of them, and yeah, like I said, and like you said there yourself, like it doesn't matter who's in and who's out. It's not about names. It's everyone knows what the demands are of each position, the plans going into games. So everyone's done a great job of being ready to do whatever's been asked of them.
It's a big league. When you first signed up with the Whitecaps, did you have the conscious thought of I want to win a title with this team? I think we can win a title. I guess you convince yourself of that no matter where you sign. But you had a good chance at it last year. You've got a very good chance at it this year. It's a big league. To be one of the teams that has a chance to win MLS Cup, it must be a pretty nice feeling, because there's a lot of guys that have their entire soccer careers and they don't get these opportunities.
Yeah, we can take a lot of confidence from what was achieved last year, and but at the same time, we know there was a lot that we could still improve on. So that's kind of been the goal here, is to keep improving and be better than better than previous years, which I think we've done. You look back, since I've arrived anyway, I feel like each year's kind of got better and better. We've improved upon stuff each year, so hopefully we can continue that path and go the extra step this year.
Well, speaking of improvement, it has been quite a 5 weeks for your sport in our city. Have you had a chance to experience Vancouver here and all the World Cup festivities that have been ongoing?
Yeah, we went to watch the 2 Canada games that were here, which was really good. It was great to see BC Place that full and the city that kind of buzzing, and the stadium looked nice with the grass in it.
Little jealous.
He says wistfully.
And no, it was good just to see how everyone's kind of like just got on board, and with Canada putting in some good performances, getting a couple of results. You see it, like whether you're walking through the city or if it's on TV. Everyone kind of got the football bug, so it would be nice to see that kind of carry through the World Cup, and hopefully it gets a bit more interest as well in people coming to our games.
I apologize for ripping the Band-Aid off here, but the pride you probably felt in watching Scotland and watching the fans have so much fun in a couple of cities. But the pain knowing you were being called. You finally started to get the recognition you were getting called, and what could have been for you. Did you try not to tease yourself with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's no point dwelling on that. It's not like I was. I wasn't in a place where I was even available to be picked. Like, yeah. If it was a month later, then I might have had a little shout. But kind of where things were, kind of what time would it be? April, May. I knew that I wasn't going to be playing before the break, so it would take away that chance. And honestly, the focus was on just making sure I was good and making sure I could get back healthy. Because there was a time there when, obviously, being out that long and the injury was like 15 months prior and I still wasn't feeling great, then it kind of got in my head, like, am I going to be good at any point? So just the fact that I was back in training was a big positive for me. And, hopefully I can just get back to what I was doing before, and hopefully, still be a part of plans moving forward.
I mentioned this to our friend Colin Miller a couple of weeks ago using a Scottish expression, but a braw bit of business from the Tartan Army in Boston and Miami. Ryan, what did you make of your countrymen and the story they became at this World Cup?
It was good to see. You see it, like, obviously all over social media and stuff, all the videos that come out, and it just looked like everyone had a good time, which is, what happens whenever the fans go anywhere. You've seen it in the Euros as well, how the German people would like talk so highly of how the fans were, how they behaved, and just how good it was to have them around. So, yeah, when you see the videos of them, like in the street at the baseball game, it looked like it was good fun.
Yeah. Well, I presume John McGinn. Is he in fact super, Ryan?
He's a very good player. Yeah, he's a very good player. You can see it whenever he does play for Scotland. He produces. So it's a fitting song.
All right, last question, but and we're recording this before the match today. It should be noted. Do you have a pick for World Cup? Do you have a rooting interest going forward here?
For who I want or for who I think?
Yeah, well, we know who you want. We know who you want.
Pick your pleasure.
How do you think it goes down?
After the first few games, I thought England had a really good chance, so I can see them getting to the final. And then if it's Spain-England, after watching Spain yesterday, it'd be tough to root against them. So, yeah, it could end up being a repeat of the Euros. Spain, England, and could see Spain getting it done again.
All right, we'll package up this tape. We'll send it to Fox, and when you're done playing, Thierry Henry's Latin and Ryan Gauld, your panelists.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Ryan.
Great seeing you back. Good luck tomorrow in
Thanks
Chicago.
very much. Cheers, guys. Thank you.
So here's some price from the historic Wall Center, the Nation Network studio built by Arbor Lee. The real win happens after the final buzzer. Stay downtown, stay comfortable, stay close to everything here at Sheraton Vancouver Wall Center, your game day home base. Starts at wallcenter.com. And Blake, our friends, speaking of the Nation Network, our friends at the Nation Network, very proud of the new era of Nation gear. It is here. It is in partnership with Levelwear. It is the off-season social club collection, premium lifestyle apparel designed for wherever the off-season takes you, whether you're hitting the golf course, grabbing drinks with friends, heading out for the weekend, just repping the community you're part of.
It's pretty fun stuff, too. I checked out the hats and stuff. It looks good.
Blake will be sporting some hats here soon.
Yeah.
New hats coming. This collection was made for you. Dress it up, dress it down. This is more than apparel. It's lifestyle beyond the season. Join the club now. Go to nationgear.ca. Okay. Well, fun chat with Ryan Gauld. He seemed in great spirits, and that's important. The young man's been through a lot here over the last 2 years. No Ralph Priso tomorrow for the Caps. He is injured. Jesper Sorensen has counted him out. Of course, was close to being a Canadian international for World Cup. And we still don't know about Robert Lewandowski, the Bayern Munich and Polish legend.
He trained yesterday.
He has signed with the Chicago Fire. He's the latest big global footballing European superstar.
He'd been training overseas as well, so he's not at ground zero for his fitness. I could see a 20-minute appearance.
Yeah. So yesterday, AFTN and Michael McCall had that scoop about the Whitecaps have now tabled a plan to Pavco and the BC government about operating BC Place. They believe they can make more money than Pavco. Of course, Pavco would get a share of the revenues. The Whitecaps would control the dates, which has been a big gripe of the MLS and Commissioner Don Garber about having so few, which still just doesn't make sense to me. It's not like the stadium is that busy.
And of course, something to consider too is you're thinking, the BC Lions will be pissed about that. Remember, they're on opposite schedules for the most part. There's going to be overlapping weeks on to some degree, but for the most part, they're out of each other's way.
So
when
the new MLS schedule starts when? August? Like going forward, it's going to be an August start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a couple of months there.
We got August, September, October, and maybe November. The other thing is, I assume part of this Whitecaps plan is that they would pay their fair share of the debt servicing on BC Place for all those renovations. Of course, Minister Callon and Pavco had mentioned that before. You can't just reap the profits. You do have to share in the expenses, and debt servicing is a part of that. The Whitecaps have been steadfast that they are not looking for government handouts here, so I assume that has been part of their plan. Patrick Johnson reports in the province, BC Place has become a highly profitable concert venue. I'm a little skeptical of that, or I'm at least a little skeptical of it is year over year going to be a highly profitable concert venue. Sure, when Taylor Swift does 3 shows, it's highly profitable. When you have The Weeknd and the Foo Fighters and big acts that are selling out BC Place on multiple dates, but we've talked about it in the past. There's only so many acts in music that require the inventory of 50,000 people.
Well, I've been surprised by like Noah Khan playing.
Yeah, I've been a little bit surprised too by the acts who have chosen to book BC Place. Also, the move to the MLS schedule, summer to spring, should help attract more of these concerts in the late spring, early summer. That tends to be
roof open concerts,
touring season, right, for some of these acts. So that's terrific as well. Patrick also spells out what we were talking about yesterday. So the ability to sell your own beer or have the official beer of the Whitecaps. He writes, at the moment, tenants are only able to sell about 1/10 of the beer, meaning that the official beer of the Whitecaps isn't much of a selling point. Like no brewer's going to sign up for
3 taps in the stadium.
We get 1 out of 10 every 10 beer.
Yeah.
So, and there's also like no official beer of BC Place. So the category's like basically empty, Blake. Like
Yes.
this is what we were talking about the efficiencies of a private company running a stadium, which happens mostly everywhere. There's 2 other MLS teams that don't control their stadium, Chicago and
The dangling carrot of
NYCFC.
private enterprise is always going to be more fierce than we just got to make it work, which is basically what Pavco had.
So as Patrick reports, if that arrangement was flipped and the team's official beer was available in larger quantities at every event and not just at soccer games, then that's a sponsorship deal that can be scaled up and benefit everyone. Yeah.
And that brand gets plastered everywhere. Like that brand's not allowed to be plastered everywhere because the in-house BC Place beer forbids it.
Right.
So you get to sell so much more to the client.
I mean, to say nothing of naming rights on the stadium and
Right.
everything else we talked about.
That's
revenue.
obvious, yeah.
Streams. And BC Place having a bit of a renaissance here. Kenneth Chan of the Daily Hive, the FIFA World Cup was a huge reminder of BC Place's stadium enduring and irreplaceable value. It is one of British Columbia's most important pieces of civic infrastructure. Now, in my 20 years here, Vancouverites have loved to complain about BC Place, even the renovated BC Place. Has the World Cup changed this stadium's image? Has it been rebranded, so to speak? Are we still going to love BC Place when it's not FIFA dressed?
The answer is no. The grass is huge for the soccer side of things, and ultimately the football team probably doesn't love the quality of the turf there either. It can stay artificial for the football team, but they would probably love a better version of what's in there currently. So the answer is no, but it's how far does it sink? How far does the approval rating sink? And for those that haven't been there, many of the club suites and party areas have all been renovated because of the World Cup, and they look spectacular. You cannot get away from the concrete monolith that it is. Inside, it's still evident. It's a concrete monolith, and those stadiums do not exist anymore. You walk through SoFi, you don't have the stairwells and the ramps that are hearkening back to yesteryear stadium. There's still kingdom feels in certain corners of BC Place. You don't have any of that. When you walk into SoFi or Jerry's World in Dallas, it feels like you're walking into a spaceship. So it's not state-of-the-art, but it's still totally doable. It's still way nicer than your mind probably thinks it is. And it's good for another, 10, 15 years for sure. It's bought itself some life, without a doubt. But it's going to come down without the surface change. Now, if along with this, and they're a long way from investing in the surface, if you told me, and again, when they bought the surface, they're not going to put grass in there, folks. You have to put that away. That's not going to happen. But if you told us that they're going to put in the state-of-the-art surface, because there are artificial surfaces in MLS that people don't complain about, like that might change things, Matt. That might help things. It is just such an awful service.
I'm more talking about it from a fan's point of view than from a club's point of view.
Oh, but fans hate it too. When they look at it, it looks gross. Like it doesn't feel like you're going to the pitch. It doesn't feel like you're like. There's other surfaces you show up and it doesn't even clock that it's artificial. Like Lumen Field, you don't go to Lumen Field and go, is that a real grass? Like it just doesn't even grab your attention. This is not even the right color. Like it looks like an olive out there. Like it's just different, right? It does affect the fan experience.
You're telling me there's no place we can warehouse grass and roll it in for the soccer guys? Like,
the space isn't there to do it. I just don't think it's possible.
Meanwhile, Ben Steiner, our friend, Sports Illustrated, MLS, and other avenues. The Canadian men's national team in the World Cup could change soccer in Canada, but it's not all good news yet. Where do things go if the Whitecaps move? Is the CPL truly sustainable? All real worries, the good and the worrying takeaways in my latest. How does World Cup mania translate to selling the MLS and the CPL, Blake? Because, look, it's the same sport. but needless to say, it's a much different watch with much different stakes.
The Whitecaps should be the easiest of the three teams because they're good. So if you've got Soccer Mania now having watched the World Cup, of all the three MLS locations, the Whitecaps stand to benefit the most because they can back up your excitement. They're going to win matches here in the second half. The other two teams are in such disarray, it's going to be tougher for them to carry momentum forward. CPL, I think in other communities, it has the chance. Again, if as long as you're delivering a winning product to some degree.
Calgary, Hamilton, Ottawa, they've had some successes there.
Halifax, they're one of the, they're the only show in town, so I think Halifax has a chance to do well. Vancouver and Pacific have their challenges. Pacific most notably because it's a drive, right? Like it's not in a central location where everybody in Victoria can get to it.
Vancouver FC's a drive too.
Is it Vancouver FC's a drive
unless
too?
you live in Langley.
So Langley, Langford both pose some problems.
Yeah. World Cup where Spain schools France 2-0 to reach the World Cup final. Will play either England or Argentina. Spain's path to the final included Austria, Uruguay, Portugal, Belgium, France, 1 goal conceded. And this is after the 0-0 opener with Cape Verde.
I'm blown away by yesterday. Blown away.
4 big winners of the World Cup beyond the teams and games. Luke Wildman, Stephen Caldwell, Kevin Kilbane of TSN, the Park the Bus podcast, the work they've done in the studio for TSN, and of course Luke and Stephen calling games, Canadian games as well. The other big winner of the World Cup is Thierry Henry as soccer analyst in English and his reputation in North America.
Yeah.
Blake, I'm not sure if you saw the breakdown that Henry did of the Spain goal from open play yesterday, and just the way he explained it and the way he explained how the Spanish football team plays and how it is drilled into them at a young age in terms to how to go about moving around the pitch and creating angles of attack.
Tremendous.
It was a masterclass from a global soccer icon in his second language. And let's remember, Thierry Henry's name on this continent was mud. He came over to Red Bulls, gave virtually no effort outside of the few games that he played, did not want to be anything close to a Beckham or anyone who has come over, or a Muller with the idea
particularly well
of
either.
being a soccer builder. Then it was a very nondescript season coaching CF Montreal, right, in a French milieu. And yet his work at the World Cup, and look, Ibrahimovic is a incredible character. Everybody loves the act, the narcissism, and all of that.
It's perfect.
He is tons of
and on
fun.
a panel, you want both of these things.
Exactly.
Yes.
But on a sustained week-to-week basis, somebody who is talking soccer to me and getting me excited and educated about the game, Henry has been sensational.
Well, and also the
facial expressions break. There's so many memes out there of Thierry Henry
with the bug
face.
guys. Like anytime Lawless opens his mouth, it's just like, what are you talking? But also the give a bleep meter, because it would be really, given his history too, understandable is maybe the wrong word. I could see it. I would have guessed maybe that he comes over and goes, it's American TV. I'm getting paid a shit ton. That's why I'm here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put in an average effort at best.
Anything but.
And they've got the personality part of it down, him and Zlatan in particular, and even the bad guy in Lawless. And the actual analysis has been spot on, and again, cared for. Like he didn't just go through the motions. He actually broke it down, made it digestible, I think, to most sports fans, even neophytes.
Yep.
It's been wonderful.
I read a piece last week, I forget where and whom wrote it, but it was not just Alexi Lawless is out of his depth alongside Ibra and Henry. It was more American soccer coverage has been changed, mostly by Thierry Henry, but with an assist from Zlatan, because Alexi Lawless is doing what American soccer analysis has been for 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
Wave the flag, talk about how great the U.S. team is, how up and coming the sport is. When they lose, criticize the development model.
It's all great, and then they lose, and it's all terrible.
Right.
Yes.
That basically be the ugly American to a degree and raw surface level stuff. And Henri and Ibra have drilled down, and they have gone deeper. Kind of like what people, and I'll call them builders here, but kind of what people like Christian Jack and James Sharman have done for Canadian soccer coverage, right? When they were going years and years ago on The Score, and KJ has talked to us about it, that no, we had to speak to the audience at a certain level of education. This wasn't, we're going to teach you about soccer. It's, we're going to talk about the game as the game might be discussed in a pub in the UK. And it's up for you all to catch up. We know that some of you are already in that pub and can have that conversation. The rest of you, we invite you in, but we're not dumbing it down for you. You have to come on up
really,
to our
Matt,
level.
Like if you're
a
sports fan of any, like the moms and pops that don't watch sports, it's above their head, but that's not who they're catering to. They're catering to just general sports fans, and any general sports fan that watches any NFL panel, and that's who they're talking to. They're talking to the people that watch NFL. Let's face it. If you watch any NFL panel at halftime and watch how they break down, why the Kansas City offense is having success on any given day, and you'll be able to translate the same ideas to hearing them talk about it. You'll get it.
Blake, I can remember when Formula One got hot there 5-6 years ago, and you were watching, and Ferraro and the family were watching, and then like on Mondays we would do the hit with Ray, and we discuss the race and the broadcast, and you guys would ask me questions as someone who was a 4-year fan of watching. I'm like, look, I can explain this and this. There's other stuff in that broadcast that is just above my head about the mechanics and everything of the vehicles, but it was heartwarming to watch so many people come on over to this side of the yard and be able to have the conversation about the sport that wasn't being had about it. And I do wonder whether you're going to have some of that going on in the United States with soccer going forward. Because, look, soccer used to be a punchline in the United States, right? It's not our game, so let's make fun of it because it's un-American. You can't do that anymore. Or at least you reveal yourself as the dinosaur if that's the way you position the soccer conversation.
And it also doesn't make
south of the line.
Doesn't make you don't have to hand in your hockey card.
That's right.
It's not either
it's
or.
Not exactly.
Despite
it's not
what
a
Kelly would like to tell you, it's not an either or scenario. And in fact, your kid can play both of them, despite what each of those heads of associations in your local vicinity might tell you. You're in charge of your kid. They're allowed to play both of the sports. My kids have done it to this day just fine.
Is there any better exercise just recreationally than soccer? You're running around for
the cross training for those two sports. Actually, the cross training is tremendous for lateral agility and strength.
Lots of love going to one of, if not the smallest minnow in the field, Cabo Verde. They are, of course, not the smallest country in the World Cup. Curacao was, but look at this. Cabo Verde holding the eventual finalists to a stalemate at 0-0 and going life and death with one half of the other semi. That was the Argentina match 2 weeks ago Friday. Is an achievement that gets better day by day. You're damn right. And then there's this. If it's Spain versus Argentina, they should award the third place spot to Cape Verde. Just not play the game. Sorry, France, England, you get to go home. Cape Verde, you're our bronze medalists.
Okay, two things I want to know. That's game one. Spain versus Cabo Verde was game one for both of those teams. I think Spain may have taken it lightly. For Cape Verde, it was their Super Bowl. It was their World Cup final. And so I can sort of understand why that did go down as it is.
Now do Argentina in the knockouts.
Yeah, Argentina's a very fallible team. Like the fact they've made it to this point is pretty remarkable. They score a ton of goals, but they
give
fallible.
up a lot of goals too.
The other thing is people are going to use this Cabo Verde and who's the other? Curacao results as an excuse for the 64-team World Cup. No, you got away with it. And I think that you can continue to get away with it at the 48-team level, that you can get the best minnows.
You're not getting away with it.
You're not going to get away with it at 64.
Countries.
No.
Like, okay, Italy. Maybe someone like Ireland, Wales. Okay. Now give me 10 to 12 more. that can compete.
Yeah.
AL pitchers dominant, NL hitters terrible. AL wins the All-Star game 4-0 in baseball, 4-0. It's now trade season before the deadline later this month. Houston sent pitcher Lance McCullers to Milwaukee today. We'll see whom the Mariners get, because I do think the Mariners are shopping. And we'll see what pathway the Jays choose, whether they're going to try and reinforce this team that's been terrible but is in the wild card race, or whether they're going to use this as an opportunity to sell off. A couple of years ago, they got some really nice young pieces, some of whom are affecting the club this year. Yohendrick Pinango, to name check one. Vancouver Canadians. On the road, when their All-Star break ends on Friday, they're back at Nat Bailey Stadium Tuesday, July 28th, versus Spokane for a high A pennant giveaway and 75-cent hot dog night. Every Tuesday at the ballpark is 75-cent hot dog night. Did you hear of the calamity that nearly took place in this company last Tuesday, Blake?
I'm going to guess Quadrelli and C's Tickets has something to do with this.
You're damn right it does.
Yeah.
David Quadrelli, the inimitable editor-in-chief of Canucks Army and host of Canucks
An
Conversation.
Uber baseball fan.
Uber baseball fan and collector. So he had taken the company tickets on Tuesday for 3 consecutive Tuesdays, in part because of the 75-cent hot dog,
Right.
but mostly because of the pennant giveaway.
But I find it really weird about the 75. Like, that's what that David Quadrelli's frame can only take 2 hot dogs tops.
It's mostly about the pennants.
Yeah.
So last Tuesday, he goes for the tickets, and he's told, Matt has the tickets. So I get this urgent text, Matt, can you make sure you arrive at the ballpark an hour early so that you get one of the pennant giveaways? I need it to complete the collection.
Oh.
I said, well, David, I gave the tickets to a friend. And he's like, oh. And I said, okay, I'll help you out. We called Walter Cosman over at the C's. He put a pennant aside for us. So on the weekend, I get a text from Quadrelli who says, Matt, I'm just mocking up how I'm going to display all the Canadians pennants in my man cave. I will send you some proofs. See what you think of them before we put it out on social media. I said, David, great. And then we realized there's one more pennant giveaway.
Oh.
He needs to be there on Tuesday, July 28th to complete the set.
Like Frodo. The Quest.
And we invite you to check out the new...
Similar stature to Frodo.
Thinner.
Yeah. Smaller feet.
We invite you to check out the Canadian Club patio down the right field line. This new addition to the ballpark is absolutely spectacular. All you need is your game ticket. You can head on up there and enjoy the view. Now, there is limited capacity, so I would get there early if you're interested in popping a squat at the Canadian Club. And look, just 18 home games remaining for the C's in this season. Many of them will sell out with the kids out of school. Get your tickets 604-872-5232 or canadiansbaseball.com. The Royal and Ancient, who run the Open Championship, say they are not moving up the tee time Sunday in the case of England advancing to the World Cup final.
Kidding. Really?
The game is 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, Blake. The Open is scheduled to end at 6:40 p.m.
Boy, the pubs.
Possibility for a playoff,
the pubs
too,
are going to
right?
be something. Oh, my God.
Blake, I've already said it to my cousin in Luton. Think of what a day it would be in English sport should the Three Lions advance to the final and win it, preceded by an Englishman winning the Open Championship for the first time in 34 years. How about 45-year-old Justin Rose, back at Royal Birkdale, where he made his legend in 1998 as a 17-year-old holing out in the final round? You'll remember it's one of the iconic shots.
He's played well the last couple of years, too.
How about he wins his first major in 13 years and then the World Cup comes home? Can you think of the
Holy
parties
shit.
across England if that comes to pass. Speaking of Birkdale, firm, fast, brown, 5 irons are rolling out to 300 yards.
The drivers may not leave the bag.
Exactly. And how about this? This is the first season of major championship golf since 1989 where Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson do not compete. Mickelson, of course, a 3-time Masters champion, has the lifetime exemption. Well, they've sort of altered that a little bit. You get to a certain age and the Green Jackets say, okay, do you really want to still playing or you just want to? But Phil did not participate in the Masters this year because...
a personal health matter within the family.
Of course, there have since been allegations about Phil Mickelson and his conduct towards the opposite sex at a golf club that he belongs to. The Canadian contingent at Royal Birkdale, Abbotsford's Nick Taylor is going to play with Open champion Brian Harman. He won it 3 years ago, the little lefty. And the Korean Siwoo Kim, of course, Taylor would know him from President's Cup play. And Corey Connors playing with Keegan Bradley and a South African. We wish them well. Does Shane Wright make sense for the rebuilding Canucks? Yes or no? People said.
People said yes.
Yes, they did. Percentage?
70.
58.
Oh.
M. Smith says trading for Wright would be monumentally stupid. He's not better than Coots, and he's not better than Malhotra. Wright caps out as a 3C. Wright has never shown he can produce in the NHL as a top 6 forward. The Canucks don't need more drama. Enough drama. Didn't like the glare at the Canadians draft.
A lot of people didn't like the fact that they
and asked for a trade.
The clip there from Kuzma's article of the alpha male. People thought that might have come from Wright, and so they attributed that they don't want guys who claim to be alpha males.
Craig, for older players or mid-round picks or a combination of our busts for their busts, not giving up Verlander or Buium under any circumstances for him. Sell the team says a 22-year-old player with potential. Obviously, it makes sense, but depends on what they have to give up. Scott says 100%. Yes, kid needs a fresh start. And Xerxes says, sure, I'm willing to take a flyer on him, but absolutely not at the cost of another top young player. Trading Verlander or Buium defeats the purpose. One error and omission from yesterday's program. The Caps' next leg for the Canadian Championship. This is the semifinal versus Montreal. The first game will be played somewhere between September 1st and 3rd. The second leg will go somewhere between September 15th and 17th. Vancouver, of course, the 4-time reigning defending Canadian champions.
We're about to get into the silly season of MLS scheduling because you've got MLS games for a couple of weeks. Then you've got a couple of weeks of Leagues Cup games. And then it's a do-si-do nonstop, depending on how far you make it in Leagues Cup, of regular season, Leagues Cup, regular season, Leagues Cup, then Canadian Championship, and then regular season again.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you spending some time connecting with the program. Please do subscribe to our channels, YouTube in particular, if you're watching, and wherever you may get your podcasts. Follow on social. That's X, Insta, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky. Live on many of those platforms at noon Pacific time, and we will be back to noon Pacific time for tomorrow's show. And, of course, please do support the community sponsors who you hear us telling you about. They make shows like this happen. Keep it local.